And I think for me, like I was at a point where like I had really, really intrusive thoughts. So I've always had anxiety, and I think I always will, and I, struggle with my eating, but I'd never experienced intrusive thoughts to the level that I got. So it's like my anxiety times. I always say it was like I was freewheeling down a hill and I didn't have any brakes. That's what my head was like it just wouldn't stop. And I think, yeah, like you say, going out in the countryside just made me realise actually all these worries are just in my head, and it's okay. Like I'm a tiny, tiny dot on a massive like world in a massive galaxy. So all these intrusive thoughts that rationally I know aren't true, because it's a long story, but I ended up thinking I was going to prison, which sounds crazy, but I know now that I wasn't going to prison. But I just started like worrying about the people I was working with. Obviously I was working with really, really unwell people, and I just started worrying about them too much, and I kind of cared more about the people I was working with than myself, and I wasn't looking after my own mental health. And my worries just got worse and worse, and because I wasn't talking about it, they just got worse in my own head. And then, yeah, it got to a point where I thought I was going to prison. But now I laugh about it because I'm the least likely person to go to prison. But yeah, I think that going on my bike kind of gave me that relief. And like rationally, I knew I wasn't going to prison. But then I'd get home and then it would just start again. So I think that's why from the start, I cycled quite a lot, because it was like I needed it to just go out and feel okay again. And I found it really like nice to know that it was weird, but like the hills and everything I could see, I'm like, they've been here for hundreds of years, like these hills that I'm riding through. It just gave me that kind of like, they're still going to be here in the next 100 years and I'm not. So I just need to like stop not being silly, but I kind of like had a talk to myself. Like one of the ways I kind of got better was like being a bit strict with myself and be like, come on, Amy, you've got to get through this. Like, because there's a part of my head that was dark and was, you need to give up on life. But I'm quite a determined person. I was like, you've got to get through this. Like, you've got to keep trying. You've got to get up every day. You've got to go out and do something. And I think that's how I got through it as well. But the bike gave me that motivation. So, yeah, that was good. And I think, like you say about community, that's one thing I didn't expect from the bike, is the community in cycling. I mean, when I started, obviously it was lockdown and we didn't have that sense of community. Me and my dad actually took me out for a few rides because he cycles. He doesn't have Lycra, he doesn't have cycling shoes or anything, just goes out in his trainers like a real old school cyclist, but he took me out cycling and that was really nice. So yeah, but I think once COVID was over and club rides started and things like that, joining a cycling club has been really, really nice. Like some of my closest friends now are cyclists, and that's something I never expected. And I think that's a reason a lot of people struggled in lockdown, is because we know that community is so important, and loneliness is, really, really bad for our mental health. And I think even just, on a screen, it's just not the same as being in person with somebody. So yeah, I think that had a big impact as well. And obviously when I was a nurse, because I was a mental health nurse and it was very strict with COVID, I was actually working from home as well. So a lot of my appointments with service users were on a screen, which made it really difficult as well. And yeah, I think it had a massive impact on a lot of people. But I always think like out of a dark moment, happy moments come, because I still have like guilt about not being a nurse anymore. But I also know that like for my own mental health, it's not the job for me, because I'm an overthinker naturally. So going into a job where you don't know what's going to happen each day, like anything could happen. You have like chaos going on and really ill people you're working with. Like my mind just doesn't compute with that, because I like order and regiment and knowing what's happening. So it just wasn't the job for me. And I do have regret about that, because I really enjoy helping people. And obviously that's what I trained in. But I think it's so important to put your own mental health first. And it's okay to change direction in life and do what makes you happy, because that's what's most important, really.